Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for our homeschool webinar, grades 9 through 12. Again, this is the webinar for our high school program, specifically the traditional homeschool program in the high school. We do have separate webinars available for the online program if you're interested in learning more about that. And I may touch briefly on a couple of things relating to the online course, online program, but this is primarily designed to be a discussion of our homeschool program. So we'll go ahead and get started with prayer. In the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto thee, O Virgin and Virgin, my Mother. To thee do I come, before thee I stand, sinful and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not my petitions, but in thy mercy hear and answer me. Amen. The Father, and the Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Everett Boyarsky. I am the Academic Services Director here at Kolbe Academy, and I've been with Kolbe since 2008. As the Academic Services Director, I oversee our academic program and our homeschool program, work with our advising staff, who many of you have had the opportunity to interact with. So I wanted to kick things off by taking a look at enrollment options. While there are 4 enrollment options in general, because this is a webinar focused really on the traditional homeschool program, the full-time online enrollment option really isn't, that's designed for students who wanted to be doing the majority of their courses online. So the 3 basic enrollment options we have are, and the first is divided between full-time and part-time, where full-time students are treating Kolbe as their school of record. You are joining us as a school, you're likely planning to graduate from Kolbe. Or part-time enrollment involves just choosing to take individual courses, where we'll end up sending you a transcript for those courses, and then you'll choose to do with that transcript whatever you'd like. The full-time standard and full-time flex are both full-time enrollment options. The difference between the two is that full-time standard includes a built-in book credit. And so it's really targeted for parents who are doing the majority of their classes using Kolbe's curriculum. And as such, that book credit will cover most of the books that you'll need for the students. If you as a parent are planning to make substitutions or perhaps own a large chunk of books because you've been with Kolbe for a number of years, the full-time flex might be a better option. It does not include a book credit. So that's the difference between those 2 enrollment options. The course types, we do have 3 course types. Again, this webinar is primarily focused on our traditional homeschool courses, where we provide course plans to you at home. As a parent, you'll be directing, you'll be doing the initial evaluation on all of the work. We do have honors courses available in this format. We also offer recorded self-paced courses, which are kind of a hybrid. They take our homeschool courses and build them into our online portal with adding videos in, but they are still parent-directed and typically parent-graded, although we do have an optional grading service, Self-Paced Plus. And then we have our live online classes. And our live online classes feature full student interaction. Students are logging in at set times each day of the week. They're instructor-directed, and instructor graded. So again, if you're interested in the live online program, we do have an online webinar that will talk about the online high school program. Again, so to talk about the traditional courses, these are graded by the parents. So you will be doing the majority of the evaluation. We are going to provide course plans and exams for each of the courses. And if you're choosing to do a full-time enrollment, full-time standard or full-time flex, those course plans and exams are included as a part of your enrollment. That's one of the services provided. You'll be submitting sample work that your student has done at the end of each semester, so that our advisors can be evaluating them to grant credit for those courses. We do offer honors courses, which include a weighted GPA. Some samples for those courses are graded by our advising staff. Parents do have the flexibility to modify our homeschool courses based on their students' needs. In high school, we also offer something called course designations. Course designations are a way of evaluating the rigor and what is being covered in each of the courses. Our Kolbe Core designation, the K designation, means that you chose to do our course plans as written. So you weren't making any significant modifications to the content that's being covered. You aren't modifying the assignments or the exams. Our honors courses are an additional level of rigor. They may have additional readings, additional work. They may go deeper in math and science. There might be additional writing assignments in the humanities courses. But those are available as well. Honors course and AP courses do offer a weighted GPA, so on a 5-point system instead of a 4-point system. We offer AP courses in the online format. So if you're looking for AP courses, the AP is a registered trademark with the College Board, and courses are certified teacher by teacher. As such, we can't, our curriculum itself can't be AP certified, only an individual course as taught by a specific teacher. So homeschool courses are not typically AP certified unless a parent were to go through the AP certification process themselves in a capacity as a teacher. Online courses have an O designation, indicating they're online, and students who are doing dual credit courses through college, those courses, well, they used to be listed with a C. They're no longer listed with a C, but they are, they're very clearly listed by the college that they that they're offered through, and they also receive the same bonus weighted GPA point. There are a few changes for the upcoming 2022-23 school year. Anybody who joined us for the school address last week is going to be aware of these changes, but I just want to give you a brief overview of them as well, especially if you've been with us for a number of years, so you know what some of the changes we're looking at are. So there's kind of three major changes. The first is a change to the credit system. The second is a change to our diploma programs to allow some additional flexibility. And the third is we've added some new awards in. I'll give you a little bit more information on each of those. So the first change to our high school credit system, this is really just a matter of trying to standardize with the practices that most of the United States uses. Because Kolbe Academy was founded in California and continues to be based there, we had been operating on the California credit system for a number of years. And the only difference is that they award 10 credits for a full year instead of 1 credit. So it's really simply a matter of moving a decimal point. It's the same number of hours, so it's still 120 to 150 hours of coursework for that credit. It'll just be labeled as 1 credit instead of 10 credits. And the goal is just to standardize because the majority of the United States uses this system. As a private school in the state of California, we are not required to follow the 10 credit system. The other change is we will be standardizing the course workloads. We, for a while, for a number of years, have granted half a credit or 5 credits to non-academic courses. So PE, participation-based fine arts, drama, music, choir, etc., had been receiving only half the amount of credits as the academic courses, which led to some confusion as far as kind of tracking graduation requirements and what was going on. So in keeping with the updated accreditation that we have, we're standardizing that so that all courses receive 1 credit for the same 120 to 150 hours of coursework. And kind of that breakdown, so we say 120 hours. The easy way to look at that is if a semester is 15 to 16 weeks long, we're looking at roughly 4 hours a week for a course. So 60 to 64 hours per semester for each of your courses, whether it's an academic course, math, science, foreign language, English, literature, or a non-academic course. It's a PE course, it's a music course, it's a drawing course, whatever it might be. Those non-academic courses are still going to be graded on a pass-fail basis, and they still don't count towards the GPA, but we've standardized the credit numbers. On the diploma track side, we've simplified a little bit to there's a single diploma, Kolbe Academy diploma, and there are really 2 tracks to get there. The first is our recommended track, which is a college preparatory track. Requirements are based on standard admissions requirements to attend a competitive 4-year college or university here in the United States. Then if for some reason your student is unable to meet those requirements, you can speak to your advisor about our minimum graduation requirements, and we can work with you on that. These graduation requirements exceed the minimum requirements in the state of California. If your state has specific rules regarding graduation requirements for you, and they consider you to be a homeschooler and not a private school student who's attending Kolbe Academy, you may want to compare our minimum requirements to your state's requirements. Most states in the United States do consider your students to be private school students because they are enrolled with Kolbe Academy, and as such, those rules wouldn't be applied. But do be sure to check that out if your state has special rules regarding that. Because this is a change to our diploma tracks, we will obviously not be requiring students to transition for the coming years. If they are a current 9th, 10th, or 11th grade student who is enrolled with us right now, they can choose to remain on our existing tracks if they would like to. However, we believe that really this will be to the benefit of everyone to make a change. We do have, they'll go into effect July 1st, 2022 for the graduating class of 2023. One other remark is if students would like to be eligible for our new awards, they do need to be on the new plan for graduation. As far as awards go, we're really excited to add some additional awards to really recognize achievement in the breadth or depth of studies to our graduating seniors. We have 2 awards that are focused on the general achievement as far as completion of a rigorous course of study. The first of them is the St. Ignatius Award. The second is the St. Maximilian Kolbe Award. The first award is for completion of a rigorous study following our Ignatian methodology and requires the completion of 24 of our courses with our Kolbe Core, Honors, or AP designations, as well as a minimum GPA. The St. Maximilian Kolbe Award is more difficult. For those of you who have been with us for a while, it is based on what our SUMA requirements used to be, and it requires the completion of our full course of study as designed, with a total of 32 credits required, of which 28 are academic. Again, this is going to be following our entire kind of classical track in the humanities, as well as a high level of math, science, and foreign language. In addition to the general achievement awards that are focused on kind of the broad scope of achievement, we are also adding 3 subject-specific awards. Because Kolbe as a classical program is focused on mastery, we wanted to really recognize students who, rather than focusing on the full breadth, which is wonderful, wanted to dive deeper into specific subject areas. And so we've added the St. Thomas Aquinas Award in humanities, the St. Albertus Magnus Award for math and science, and the St. John Paul II Award for achievement in study of foreign languages. Again, as a reminder, to be eligible for the new award, students do need to be on the new graduation plan. And I will touch base briefly here on the plans. So the plans, just as an example, so you can see what this looks like. Our new recommended track: 4 years of theology, 4 years of English and literature. 2 of those need to be literature, and then 2 can be your choice of literature or English. 3 years of history, world, US, and history and elective. 3 years of math, including Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. Now, in something like mathematics, higher courses are fine. So if your student does Algebra 2, pre-calculus, and calculus, that would also meet those requirements. But those are the minimum requirements for that subject area. In science, biology with a lab, chemistry with a lab, and a physical science. The physical science could be our typical introductory physical science course. It's often taken by 8th and 9th graders, or it could be an upper level physics with lab course, or an advanced chemistry course, AP or dual credit. 2 years of foreign language in the same language. And then 5 academic electives are required. And an academic elective is any academic course not already being used to meet another requirement. So the way this typically works, as you'll see I've got a couple of samples coming up here, is that most students have fulfilled their history and their math and their science requirements by the end of their junior year. And if they've been doing a combination of literature and English, they may finish those off too. And so their senior year, those additional courses, their 4th history course or 4th math or science course, those count as academic electives. But what this does is it gives you a little flexibility in seeing, what areas do I want to spend additional time working in. And again, it could be that 4th year of math, 4th year of science. It could be doing additional foreign language work. We have a great brand new philosophy course that we're really excited about. That's an academic elective. So there are a number of options for what you can do for those academic electives. But the majority of our students are using their additional courses in the primary subject areas that haven't already been used otherwise. There's one additional elective required, which can be either academic or non-academic, you're choosing. And then we do require 2 years of PE and a year of visual and performing arts. So that's a total of 28 credits over 4 years. So it's an average of 7 courses per year. And then 6 of those courses must be academic courses, academic in nature. Again, if for any reason your student is unable to meet these requirements, then I'd recommend speaking with your assigned advisor about our minimum graduation requirements. 3 years of theology, 3 of English and literature, 3 of history, 2 of math, 2 of science, and then some electives, PE and visual and performing arts. One thing to be aware of is if you do end up doing the minimum graduation requirements, these requirements will not meet admission requirements for the majority of colleges and universities. So if your student is planning to be heading off to college or university at some point, please be sure to check with those colleges and universities to see what their requirements are for admissions, because the minimum requirements do not typically meet those requirements. If your student is likely college bound, then we strongly would recommend that recommended track. That's really what it's designed for, is to be that college preparatory track for your students. So now that having looking at those requirements, let's take a look at our core curriculum. And then from there, we'll go on and bounce back to what are some of the tracks using the core curriculum to meet some of these requirements. So first up, our Humanities Core. This is really our kind of our classics core: theology, English, literature, and history. And the theology, literature, and English courses are aligned chronologically, so that the Introduction to Sacred Scripture course accompanies the Greek literature course and the Greek history course. The Church History 1 course, along with sacramental theology, accompanies Roman literature and Roman history. Church History 2 with Christendom, Church History 3 with modern US. Are really what they're designed to do, to really integrate the study of those three subject areas chronologically, so you can see the connections, make the connections. This is really kind of the core of who we are as a school that is classical philosophically. Additionally, in our English program, we have composition and grammar, composition and logic, composition and rhetoric, and then creative writing. For those of you who are familiar with classical education, grammar, logic, and rhetoric are the three key components of the trivium. And so we make those available so that you can really have the education in those specific subject areas across those three courses. So those are our core humanities courses. In math and science and foreign language, we have start with Algebra 1, we go up through calculus and math. We have science, physical science, biology, chemistry, physics. We also offer an astronomy course as an elective. We have foreign languages, Latin, Spanish, and French. And then in the online format, again, I mentioned that AP courses are a registered trademark. As such, they're done only in the online format. We do have a number of AP courses available if that's something that you're looking for. A few other things that we offer: we have a series of humanities electives, an alternative history track that uses the Catholic textbook projects, Like the Nations 1 and 2 for Western Civ 1 and 2, and then Lands of Hope and Promise for an American history course. We also have combined courses in history and literature that combine Greece and Rome into a single year. That's especially helpful if you might have a student who's transferring into us and you still want to expose them to kind of those traditional books in the Western canon, but don't have 2 years to do so. And so here's some sample plans of what that might look like. The first here, this is for the Maximilian Kolbe Award. Again, this is the award that is the award for really the full breadth and depth of our classical curriculum as it was designed. So over the course of 4 years, your student is going to do all of our core humanities courses in theology, English, literature, and history. They'll be doing 4 years of math, 4 years of science. The 4 years of science have to include biology, chemistry, and physics with labs. And then the 4th year can be an elective science. Foreign language, we require at least 2 years of Latin, and then 2 additional years of foreign language, which can either be Latin 3 and Latin 4, or they could be a modern language, but they would have to be the same language. You couldn't do 1 year of Spanish and 1 year of French. It needed to be 2 Spanish or 2 French. And then we require visual performing arts and PE are included on that. For the recommended track, this is kind of for students who are on that looking at a college preparatory diploma. Here's one example of what that might look like over the course of 4 years. Again, 4 years of theology are required. We require only 2 years of literature, and then your choice of 2 of English or literature. But again, we offer 4 English courses and 4 literature courses. So in this example, the student is doing 4 literature courses and 2 of our English courses. You can see that the 12th grade English course is marked an elective. That's one of their 5 required academic electives. So that's what you kind of track the electives there. And as you can see here, the academic electives are just those courses that aren't already being used to meet other requirements. History, 3 years of history are required, so that the 11th grade history functions as an elective for them. 3 years of math are required, so the calculus senior year would function as an elective there. The physics lab is being used to meet the requirement for the physical science. So that's one example of what that might look like. Another example, if you wanted to, for example, you wanted to be using our humanities elective courses rather than our classical humanities courses, it would look maybe something like this, where we have, again, your 4 years of theology. In this case, we're doing the Western Civ 1, Western Civ 2, and American Civ courses for history. Maybe we're doing a little bit more English rather than the high level of literature. And then, again, options here as far as the math and science. In this example, the 2 years of foreign language or Spanish, again, that could be anything. One note here is I slotted in philosophy as an elective. In this case, in 11th grade. Philosophy is designed as an upper level elective for 11th or 12th graders primarily. So it uses one of their academic electives to meet their total requirement of 5, on this example of a track. If you're looking at high school, I would recommend planning out, trying to sketch out a possible plan for your student's high school career. You can either do it yourself, or if you'd like some help, you can chat with your assigned advisor about that. Here are a couple more examples. Minimum graduation requirements. As you can see, if you're doing this over 4 years, it tends to be very sparse. So most of our students well exceed these requirements. But here would be the minimum of what you would have to do. It is even possible to graduate in 3 years on those minimum requirements. And here's an example of what that might look like, if you're going to do that. So there are some options here as far as your tracks and your paths to graduate. That'd be something our advising staff would be happy to work with you on to really look at, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish when it comes to that? As a homeschool program, one of the key components of the homeschool program that we offer is the ability for you to report grades to us for record keeping. And so we call this the grade portfolio process. So you'd be submitting to us a grade portfolio at the end of each semester, which would include, for all of your homeschool or self-paced courses, our report card, which is a grade submission form with a minimum of 2 written and graded samples per subject for each semester. If you're doing the K or the H designation, our course plans will be telling you what samples are required. On the H designations, there may be some additional samples that are required above and beyond just the 2 per semester. If you're doing any of our online courses, all of those courses are automatically go right onto your student's transcript because those courses are teacher directed. And so the teachers will have done all of the rating for them. Okay, so that is kind of the base overview of the high school program. We do have a number of other events and webinars that are available. We have an open house webinar which talks about kind of general philosophy. If you have students who might be in the lower levels, K through 8, we have a separate K through 8 deep dive that will take a look at some of the curriculum that's going on in our elementary program. And again, if you're interested in our online program, we have webinars for the K through 5 and 6 through 12 programs that are separate. We also every year offer both college planning webinars for our students just to take them through some of the things they should be aware of as they're looking off to college. And then we also host a virtual college fair. We did in our newest format this past fall, brought a number of the new and guide colleges in for a full day of presentations on each of their programs. Really a very exciting event. I'd highly recommend that for anybody who is thinking about that. I spoke to a number of our sophomores and juniors who had a great time attending that to really get them thinking through those processes. So stay tuned for a number of those events. Are there any questions that people might have? So there are a number of people there. You can just put them into the chat or the Q&A pod if you'd like. I'd be happy to take a look at that for you. One note, so right now it is obviously mid-February. If you are looking at attending for the first time, having a new student who is new to us this coming fall, our applications are now open for the fall of 2022. So that's just the application process. You fill out a short application. The student enrollment should be opening here in just next week is the plan. And then you'll be able to select courses. March 8th is the timeline that is planned out for that, to be able to select your courses and start working towards that. So just as far as a timeline of kind of where we're at in the enrollment process. Other question, is it possible to get a copy of sample plans for the 4 years? We do have sample plans available on our website. Let me see if I can find that for you. Let me pull that up right here. So there should be a link right here to our course plan samples. You can go and check them out. You have those samples of all of our high school course plans. And those will be just the first couple of weeks of each of the courses, but it'll have a full scope and sequence of what books are being used, and then kind of it'll break down what it might look like week by week. Great question. So what can be taken for the PE course? So a PE course, our expectation for PE is just the same number of hours that we might have as far as any of the courses. So again, we're looking at 100 to 20 to 150 hours. A PE course, most of our students are doing, it's saying a requirement of some form of physical activity. So many of our students play team sports, and a full season of a team sport is typically somewhere north of 60 hours. So that's usually about a semester. worth of PE credit. A number of our students also do individual sports. They might have a running program or a workout program, weightlifting, those sorts of things, swimming, golf, etc., are all very common. So there are a number of options for the PE to do, but again, we're looking at a total of approximately 4 hours of physical activity per week over the course of a semester, which is 15 to 16 weeks. And again, you need a total of 2 full credits. On the examples that I showed, I had the students doing PE for all of freshman year and all of sophomore year, so 2 years. Some of our parents will break that up. It might be, you might do it 1 semester each over the course of 4 years. That would be fine too. PE and all our non-academic courses are graded on a pass-fail basis. They do not count towards a student's GPA. So it's based on participation. Another question is if we have a homeroom where a teacher might be able to check in as far as weekly progress and help them do some problem solving. That's a great question. So we do have a homeroom program, but the homeroom program works in conjunction with our online program because it is a live teacher who is going to be interacting with those students. But the great thing is about Kolbe Academy is you are able to mix and match which course types you would like to do. So this webinar is specifically about the homeschool program when it comes to coursework. If we go back to our enrollment options here, let me scoot back. So enrollment options, I was talking about the full-time standard and the full-time flex. And those enrollment programs make you a full-time student with Kolbe Academy. But students can always choose what division of courses they would like. So if you as a parent would like to sign your student up for 4 homeschool courses, 1 self-paced course, and 2 online courses, you can do that. So how you choose to get the credits required for those for the graduation tracks is up to you. You can choose any mix, any division of these course types to earn those credits. In fact, the majority of our students who are doing online courses are doing a mix of online and homeschool courses. We don't have that many students who are doing entirely online courses. It tends to be a pretty heavy load to do all of your courses online. So it's very common, particularly, you might have a parent who their background is in math or in science, and they'll look at our curriculum and say, you know what, I'm going to teach they're at home, I'm going to teach the math and science courses, but I'm going to send my students and have them do the online literature and the online history. Because I'd be more comfortable having one of Kolbe's expert teachers leading those humanities courses. Or similarly, if our parents might have a background in the liberal arts, they might take a look and say, I feel really great about teaching English and literature and theology and history, but I'd really like someone to help me out with pre-calculus and with physics. And they might hop on and have them do those courses. We do have a number of students who do the only online course they do is our homeroom. And that's a great opportunity to have the ability to interact with other Kolbe students who are all over the United States and around the world, to work on study skills. In 11th and 12th grade, they'll be doing some look at college planning, perhaps. They might be working on building resumes. I just recently did a visit to an 11th grade class to talk about citizenship. I did a visit to a 10th grade class to talk about discernment. So our homeroom courses tend to bring in some speakers from our staff to talk about a variety of topics. So that can be a great opportunity if you'd like to just have a little bit of the interaction and have the ability to have some maybe check in on them and see how they're doing. So the question was, how many grades need to be recorded for the report card? And so really here, when it comes to that, the goal is just a matter of making sure we have the credits required to graduate. So we don't have a minimum that you have to do per year as a full-time student with us. But if you're looking to graduate, typically you're going to be looking to do 5 to 7 courses per year so that you can be on track for graduation for our diploma. Good. So follow-up question on PE. Does it have to be a support or can be done on their own? Absolutely. So while many of our students do use sports as their primary source of PE, it does not have to be an organized sport. So again, this could absolutely be a daily running program. It could be a daily biking program where you just keep a rough log of the hours. Again, all we're going to need from you is at the end of each semester is we're going to need you to give us a description of what you were doing to meet those hour requirements. So if, for this first semester, your PE was a running program, your student was going for an hour-long run 4 days a week, great. You can just give a description is, my student did a running program for 4 hours a week for PE this semester, and that'd be sufficient. Science labs. So science labs, the requirement for a science lab requires lab work. So you must be doing some experiments that you are in the specific subject area, so biology or chemistry. If you're doing our homeschool courses, we do have some lab options available for you. We have a virtual lab is available. You as a parent can also choose to do physical labs, which is great if you're comfortable having some of those supplies in your house, which is really fantastic. We also actually have, even if you're not doing our live online courses, we do have a live online science lab where you purchase a kit of all the supplies that you'd be doing, and then you'd be doing them in conjunction with the teacher there on the webcam. So that's a great opportunity. But generally what we're looking for as far as a science lab is you tend to be doing somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 to 12 experiments per semester. And you're doing write-ups for those. So you'll have some sort of a lab journal, or you're writing up some formal lab reports for them. They'll be provided to us as evidence of completion of the lab. Good, so going back to enrollment options questions, if you want to do some live and some traditional, what enrollment options should you choose? So that's where you're going to choose the full-time option, either full-time standard or full-time flex, if you plan to be a full-time student with Kolbe Academy. So again, the differentiation here between the full-time and the part-time is how you plan to use Kolbe services. If you view Kolbe as your student school and you are a degree-seeking student, you're planning to graduate from Kolbe with diploma, you'll want one of our full-time options. Again, the full-time standard, the full-time flex. And then from there, after you do the standard or the flex, you'll then choose, after you do your initial student enrollment, so you'll enroll them as a full-time standard student or a full-time flex student, you'll then be taken to your course registration. And on your course registration, you'll tell us what courses you want to do and what format you want to do them in. So you'll tell us that, I'm planning on doing 3 homeschool courses and 3 online courses. And you go through and select that you want theology online, and you want history online, and you want literature online, and you're going to do math and science and Latin as homeschool courses. And then you'd put that on your course registration, which then be submitted to us and to get you enrolled in those courses. Now, if you don't, if you're not seeking to graduate from Kolbe Academy, that's where you'd want to do our part-time enrollments. And then you just select whatever individual course you want to report to us, whether it could be an online course, it could be a homeschool course, but those are paid on an individual basis. So you pay per course when you're doing the part-time enrollment versus being fully enrolled with us. Sample report card, we do, absolutely. That's on our welcome packet page. So if you'd like a copy, if you'd like to take a look at our sample report cards, you can go there, scroll down to where it says grade report checklist and report cards, and you can find the link to our sample report cards. Perfect. Well, there are a number of questions. It's always great to see everybody engage with us. If you are currently enrolled with us, you have an assigned advisor right now, and you will have an assigned advisor as of your enrollment. So if you have current questions, certainly reach out to them. If you're new to Kolbe, I'd encourage you to make an appointment with our admissions team, and they can answer some initial questions for you. And then as soon as you go through the enrollment process and your students are enrolled with Kolbe, they'll then receive an assigned advisor, and so you'll be able to speak with the assigned advisor at that point. So if you'd like to book an appointment either with the admissions team, or if you currently have a assigned advisor, you can click on the link for the book an appointment, and you can either select the admissions team if you're a new family, or select your current advisor to make an appointment with them. So question about flexibility on courses. This is a great question. While the majority of our parents do most of their courses using our curriculum, we do allow parents to substitute other materials that are grade level appropriate. And we actually keep a list, our advisors keep a list of approved vendors. So if you're not sure if there's something that you'd like to use, it would be approved, you can ask the advisors and they can take a look for you. Saxon is a very common example of an approved course that many parents use. And so we'd have no problem with making that substitution. That's an easy substitution to make. And what will happen is when you do your course registration, it'll ask you which Kolbe courses do you want to do. Then it'll also ask you, are there any non-Kolbe courses that you would like to report to us? And that's where you'd select, in this case, if you're doing Saxon, you'd select that you'd like to do a non-Kolbe math course and select, you're going to be doing Algebra 2. And we'll ask you to tell us what curriculum you'll be using for that. And you just put in that you're using Saxon's Algebra 2 program. Our advisors are all very familiar with that program, and that'll be a really easy approval on our end. If it's something that we've never heard of before, then we may reach it back out to you to try and get some more details on what it is you're using to make sure it's going to meet the requirements for a high school level material. And again, there's in that question it mentions being full-time flex. So if you're full-time flex, and you're doing a number of substitutions, that's probably a good example why you'd want to do the flex instead of the standard, because you may not need to book credit if you're doing some number of substitutions. So good question. So on the awards for the most part require completion of our courses. Here, let me go back to this. So the awards, the designations award, the Maximilian Kolbe award, and then the subject area certificate awards do, for the most part, require completion of our courses. There's a little bit of flexibility on the Math and Science award, but not a lot. And by a little bit of flexibility, I think you're allowed to do a total of 2 courses that are non-Kolbe courses on the Math and Science award, as an example. But most of them have to be our courses. That is a good question. The awards are really designed to recognize achievement within a specific, within a more narrow standard than just our general diploma. And so as such, they are focused on courses that we have specifically selected. We should have the full details on the graduation awards coming up here in the next week or two. We've recently been going through the process of revising our website with these new changes. Because the changes aren't going into effect until, again, the graduation class of 2023, we didn't want to have these up too early because we didn't want to have people confused who are still wrapping up their 2022 school year. But the details on these should be coming up here in the next couple of weeks, as far as spelling out exactly what the requirements are, number of courses, what kinds of courses, how many courses. There are some GPA requirements on them as well. Again, the goal of these is to really recognize people who have achieved at a high level, either across the board in a broad scope, or who have gone very deep, achieved a high level in a very narrow area in a specific subject area. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk on with us. Again, if you have any questions, do feel free to reach out to your advisor if you're a current student, or to our admissions team if you're a new student. We don't, follow-up question here is, do we have an entrance exam? So we do not require entrance exams for placement as a freshman. Our admissions, our application form is really more about gathering your basic information than it is about, accepting or denying you. But we do have some placement tests available on our website as reference, if that's something that would be helpful to you. If you're not sure where your student is at a certain level, we do have some placement tests that we can use as resources to help place you. But most of our students are coming to us from another school. If they were doing pre-algebra last year, they're going to be ready for Algebra 1 this year. So, and we're not going to require that you take a specific test to be placed into Algebra 1. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much. We appreciate the time. We look forward to being able to serve you for this coming year. And again, do feel free to reach out to us with any questions you might have. We also have a live chat feature on our website. So if you ever find that you just have a couple of simple questions that you want to get an answer to without going through the process of maybe scheduling an appointment, you can go ahead and do that too. The recording for this webinar should be available probably in the next 2 or 3 days on our website. It will also be available on our YouTube page. And we may have it available on Facebook as well, so you can check that out. But everybody who registered for the webinar should be receiving an email copy with the recording of it. All right, well, thank you very much, everyone. Have a blessed afternoon, the rest of your day, and we'll look forward to working with you over this coming year.